you may or may not have noticed, we have a new intro here at RPS, and there might be a lawsuit going down. There's 0% old people that are in the intro these days. We've got people that barely work here that are in the intro, and the production value, again, I'm a little pumped up after the music, but JT, I'm thinking lawsuit, buddy. It's time to go. It's definite age discrimination.
Winnie the Pooh was disappointed. He closed his eyes in the background.
Oh,
there.
did he?
Yeah, he was. He's gonna ask me later, "Where are you, Daddy?" And I'm gonna tell him I'm not there. It's like the court pages; you can't find me anymore. But it's all good. It's all good. It's a Tuesday. We're live. Mm-hmm. We had people watching last week. I don't know if that's gonna happen again tonight, but here we go. Here we go, and I'm excited because Uncle T is back. He had a obligation last week.
Correct.
And that happens. We're important people. We're busy people. Even though we're not featured on anything, we are important. We are busy.
Yeah.
The company loves us. And I'm just going to keep telling myself that.
Told you. I'll tell you what I learned from the Golden Bachelor. I never watched any of that shit until this year.
Bachelor.
We'll talk about that in a second if you'd like. But there's like a 70-something-year-old guy and all these old chicks that are trying to bang him. And they're like, just be it old, people just forget about you. And I feel like that's where we are right now. We're just forgotten about here, JT. And it hurts, especially as someone that was featured on the first ever one with my face on the first one. And now I'm gone.
Yeah.
I don't know how to handle it. You know, Uncle T, you were furious for years that you never got the big spot on the intro. Thoughts on the old people just being completely ignored?
Yeah, first of all, good to be back with you guys, you donkeys from last week. You guys did a great job in my absence. But no, hey, we can start this show united, right? None of the three of us, maybe we can inbox the prez and voice our displeasure that none of the three of us. We may have, Holden, we've got to have one of the longest standing weekly shows, right, during football. Like it's got to be one of the ones that started right from the beginning, right? So
this show, Print Factory.
It's got to be close. Probably Print Factory for sure.
There might be another show, but this is our flagship and only podcast, which says something.
I like that, the flagship show. But yeah, we can unite on that to get started. But yeah, it's good to be back. We got baseball going on and NBA tonight. Obviously, this is the best time. You know, I'm a big March guy as far as college basketball. I like that kind of time because you got the basketball ending, you got baseball getting ready to start. You know, all three of us like baseball, but this is a great time of year. It really is. You got about, I can't believe we're in week 8 already of the NFL season. And again, NBA tonight, you got playoff baseball. So it's a great time over here at Run Pure Sports. And, you know, like I said, good to be back on here with you guys.
Shout out to Kevin Gallagher. Now, last week we did the show. We didn't know it was live, Uncle T. We didn't know it was live. So all of a sudden people started hitting us up in the chat. We're like, oh, what's going on here? Oh, we're actually live. And then the other thing was very odd. Me and JT, all we did was talk football like the whole time. Who knew that you were Mr. Personality of the show? You were the one that was going to get us talking about other things than sports.
The glue.
I've been trying to get you guys to talk more football on this show for 4 years, and then I missed 1 week, and you guys talk all football. And then I was getting a text message from people. A couple text messages came through, and they said, the boys are roasting you right now on your podcast. And I'm like, no, what are you talking about? It's a tape podcast. What are you talking about? And they said, no, it's live. So it threw me off right away because I thought, what are they messing with me? And here they were truthful. They said they were giving you a hard time.
We did not roast you, by the way.
No, we didn't roast. We didn't roast. But I do want to talk about something from last week.
Yeah,
because it was, as Holden said, it was a little bit different. We talked football the whole time. Uncle T, we started off talking about Survivor. And we had a dispute. We had a debate. And the debate was this. I said that I'm trying to survive, as denoted by the name of the contest, Survivor. Yeah. And that I've been playing the best plays, the best teams. Holden said I was dumb. Yes. And he was demeaning in other ways as well. But Holden, who did you end up taking last week?
Well, I had 3 different teams, mostly Seattle.
Did you really play mostly Seattle?
Yeah, 2 of the 3.
Sounds like he hedged.
It sounds like it. Why did that happen? Because you told me I was dumb because I said I hate the play, but I think the play this week is Seattle, and you wanted to play the Raiders.
Correct. I didn't play the Raiders.
Why didn't you play the Raiders?
Because I said to myself, Josh McDaniel is the head coach.
Did you realize that it was stupid to play a team with a backup quarterback on the road?
Well, that was the whole thing. That was the whole thing at that point. Once he said Hoyer's in, I said, fuck it. I'm not doing this anymore. This is just not smart. I'll tell you the one I lost.
You want to apologize?
I'll tell you no.
Do you want to apologize?
Apologize. Hey, because you're apologizing to a 50-year-old man in a backwards hat. Like seriously, what is? You never see Uncle T turn your hat around.
No, my hat would be awful turned around.
Don't forget Pooh.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it looks terrible.
Man, backwards.
I got a lot of gray up there.
The
best thing about this is starting to show you two going at each other. That's the best thing for me because I'm not involved.
Well, this is not going at each other. This is JT trying to get me on something. It obviously didn't work. The other thing is, George Carlin it was probably at least 30 years ago, and he's like, what's with these fucking middle-aged white guys wearing their hats backwards? What are you, 17? And seriously, JT, are you just trying to hold your hair under your hat? What? It's obviously a fashion statement.
I'm trying to fit in. No, I don't care. I just put it on. You know why? Because honestly, the real reason, I'll be honest, the real reason is I'm so vain. Mm-hmm. One of my lights is out. And I ordered a new bulb. I ordered 2 new bulbs just in case the other one.
30 seconds or less, please.
Yeah, hurry up.
Let's get in and out here real quick.
Oh, look. Uncle T is back, and now there's a time limit.
Well, I can already tell this is going to be a bad story. But
he's talking about a light being out.
Uncle T's, when we get to wide receiver, it's a 13-game slate. Uncle T's going to name every player on the slate. And I have to have a time limit to talk about how my fucking light bulb blew out, and I ordered a new one, so I'm putting on a hat because otherwise it's kind of reflective. So Uncle T, welcome back. I can't say it's nice to have you back, but you're back. And Holden, if I had more time today, I would have teed up where you told me I was an idiot for playing the best teams.
Yeah,
and I really hope that you played the Raiders, and
you got 5 weeks left max. You got maximum 5 weeks, probably 3 to 4.
Everybody has that. First of all,
other people have good teams left. I'll guarantee you.
I have good teams left too. One of the pools I'm in is down to 5. We're down to 5.
Yeah.
Because people played the Raiders this week. Holden.
Well, now I'm rooting against you in all seriousness because of your fucking bullshit cockamamie way. You know what this is like? This is like the guy that starts playing DFS and is just like, I'm going to play all the best players and, then I'll stuff something else. They're all 100% owned. And then they go and they win. I don't want that happening to you. I want to lose.
Tuesday last week, Uncle T, he was all about the Raiders. The Bears are terrible.
Right.
The Bears are this. I'm playing, and I'm laughing at him. And then he arrives days later because his brain works so slowly. Days later, he arrives at the same conclusion, and now he's back to mocking me again.
His brain's on a tape delay. I get it. We all know that.
Do you know who the other team I took was Tampa Bay against Atlanta? That wasn't good. So I'm down to 2. I'm down to 2.
Why are you taking these shitty-ass teams for Survivor? Why are you taking these shitty-ass teams for Survivor on the road?
Why are you taking a division game with, what were they, 2.5 point favorites?
Yeah. At home.
I'll give you one this week. The Chargers against your Chicago Bears. If the Chargers don't win this week, Staley's gone. This is now the Survivor show. That's what we've got. He's gone if they don't win this week. I disagree. I think that fucking Spanos is so cheap. He doesn't want to pay this guy and watch him on the side as opposed to winning because he's got no fans and they're going to pack that place anyways because whatever team they're playing, the other fans are going to pack. Staley has done less with more than any coach the last 5-6 years. Than me. He's awful.
He's had some of the best offensive pieces. Yeah. What are you talking about? It really is amazing. You know, they've had some good pieces defensively too. Yeah, Bosa. Not now, but in the past they have. And him and McDaniels just have. I was talking to Stats about this today. It's like, why do these two guys have jobs at this point? McDaniel because he was with Belichick, and then Staley. I don't know. Staley, I honest to God believe they just don't want to pay another coach. That's the only logical thing I can think. Holden, you guys, while you're talking about Stats, you guys had a good show earlier. I checked in.
right at the segment where you guys were just total stroke fest on your all's Baltimore Ravens. Like all of a sudden the Ravens win a game or two, and all of a sudden you guys are slob knobbing all over the Ravens. Don't fall for the Ravens trick. Ravens aren't going to win anything. They may win a few more games to get to the playoffs. Lamar is not going to win in the playoffs. So just get it out of your system.
Seems like they've got a little bit of homer bias here.
No, it has nothing to do with the Bengals. They may win the division.
No, nothing to do.
Well, hey, slide on in. I'm on some pharmaceutical products right now. I'm not feeling very good, but slide on into my DMs or my text messages and let's put a little wager down.
A wager on what? You do this all the time. So,
well, first off,
I'm saying you got a homerism thing.
I've got one on you, JT.
Yeah.
So I've got it
5 times. What do you want? You won't let me buy you anything.
Well, usually the lunch bets are $50. That's the standing bet.
Fair enough. It'll be there as soon as.
And I can't wait to return the favor and have you beat me on a bet. So we'll come up with a bet off after the show. Or if you got one, come on in. The Ravens aren't going to get nowhere. I can tell you that right now. We can't bet that they're not going to go to the playoffs.
I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about your feelings about the Ravens being somewhat biased by the fact
they don't know. You're wrong.
What proves that I'm wrong? You're a diehard Cincinnati Bengals fan.
I'm not a diehard Bengals fan. So there you're wrong again.
Holden, settle a bet here. I mean, do you not? Does Uncle T not come across as a diehard fan of Cincinnati sports?
Here's what I'm thinking right now. Here, just Uncle T. Let me just speak real quick. I feel like you've been very aggressive tonight, JT. I feel like there's been a lot of angst filled and thrown toward Uncle T's way. Okay, so I actually don't feel great about it, and I want to defend Uncle T, but JT, you're right. I mean, 100%, you're right. It's just he's a Bengals fan, and he
could have just left it as is and sided with me for the first time in 4 years, but you couldn't do it.
I tried. I just think that if you watch the show today, the stat stomp, you see that the Ravens are the second team in the power rankings. They have the fourth highest odds to win the Super Bowl now. And Lamar Jackson.
I watched your show. I was one of 4 people that were watching.
Right.
I was one of 4 people that were watching. I wanted you to know I was supporting your show, and I got all that information.
Right.
That was bad information.
14 watching right now. So
if they're number 2 in the power rankings after week 7, I need to do a power ranking then. There's no way in the world
power rankings don't count.
JT, unbiased opinion. I know you just got on me for mine, but would you rank the Baltimore Ravens number 2 overall right now after 7 weeks?
I think number 2 overall is a little high. I will say we've been doing this. We do the show every week, and coming into this season, one of the things I talked about was Todd Monken, his effect on the offense. We didn't see it for a long time. Last couple of weeks, we've kind of seen this, the pass rate, over expectation. I mean, even though Gus Edwards was efficient, they just threw the ball a bunch. The thing that's going to be a challenge, I think, with the Ravens is almost what we've seen with Kansas City, where it's going to be hard to zone in on who the targets are outside of Mark Andrews. Sure, Zay Flowers is there, but they targeted Odell Beckham a lot this weekend. Bateman got passes. Aguilar got a touchdown, which was disgusting because I made fun of it. Snyder was talking about it on the Off the Chalk show Sunday morning. I'm like, please stop with Aguilar. Look, Aguilar wasn't a winning play, but he did happen to catch a touchdown just because I think this offense is a little bit more spread out. The defense, Holden, you can't deny. I mean, the Lions' offense has looked great.
Yeah.
And the Ravens' defense just absolutely shut them down. So I do think they're a more complete team than some of the other teams out there. But number 2 seems a little bit high.
Did it look like when I went in and checked out stats as power rankings, did I think that Baltimore is going to be there? No, but the numbers bear it out, or at least his system bears it out. And I'm glad you brought this up because the Ravens defense, which was just horrendous for the last 5 years or so. It was weird. 2 people, I'm not playing against the Ravens defense for like 3 of those 5 years. We're going, what are you talking? They're elite. They are one of the best defenses in the National Football League. You got Lamar Jackson pretty damn accurate right now. The issue with them is turning the ball over. They're putting the ball on the floor way too much. But Uncle T, you at least got to admit, this is a top 5 team.
Can I tell you who my best team was on Sunday? They cashed the most, got the most return.
I mean, you're going to, so you might
Lamar and Andrews. No, that shows you that I'm not like you guys were saying, the biggest homer and biased against them. I'm just saying week to week, clearly you can play them in fantasy. But as far as like, we're talking fantasy, or if we're talking how far they're going to get or betting wise, I just don't. I mean, Snyder's the biggest Baltimore homer that we have at RPS, and he doesn't even like them. So that tells me right there that you just got to pump the brakes a little bit is all I'm saying, boys.
Snyder was all over them on Sunday. Locks, I got to give Locks credit too. Locks was all over that stack. Like the game stack, which if you played that was awesome. I actually ended up after the show just because of what those guys said. I was like, well, let me throw in some Lamar to Andrews. I added Flowers too, which was a mistake, but those lineups did fine. But Snyder always likes the Ravens. So, I mean, there's that. Soldier. I actually joked. I said, if Aguilar is one of your soldiers, it's going to be a short war. And of course, sure enough, he scored the first touchdown.
Did you just say Nelson Aguilar? Because Sean G said, is Bateman, and you can post his comments here if you want, guys. Is Bateman officially dead, or is there any hope he has a decent game? And my analogy was Aguilar with the Eagles. That's Rashad Bateman. Except
if
Aguilar
I remember right, a couple games ago, Bateman I think he dropped a pass in the end zone, or he dropped a big pass. And I don't know if he's had a target since then. So, like JT said, though, he's exactly right, though, is outside of Andrews is how are they going to utilize the rest of the, the pieces on this team. So, again, I'm not going to say they're not winning. They may win the division, but I just think long-term and into the playoffs, I don't think they're built to win 3 games and to get through the gauntlet of playing really good teams in the playoffs. I think teams will be able to scheme to stop Lamar, and, I don't think he's going to be able to get it done, but we'll see.
Bateman got targeted, but if you're looking at the AFC right now, right, it's the Chiefs, right? Okay. I can't say it's the Browns. They have a good defense, but, offensively, they are challenged.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
PJ Walker.
Yeah. The Bills look like they're in trouble. And then you got Miami. Now, Miami, you just have to be able to score with them because, defensively, Miami's not going to put up a ton of resistance, it looks like, early. So I don't know, Holden. I could kind of see the Ravens. I could see the Ravens going through and winning.
Well,
we got a long way to go before that.
You could take any team. Like if you give me one team, I will say, besides for the Chiefs, I can just say there's no way they're making a run. And the odds are that they're not making a run. I mean, even the best team is like 7-1 to win the world, or to win the Super Bowl. The Chiefs are probably, about 4-1 right now. But we could say that. I'm just saying between Jackson's progression, Flowers in that offense, because he actually has another guy to throw it to now.
He does.
And most importantly, their defense. And Harbaugh's a really good coach.
He is.
It's got to be a handful of teams, Uncle T. Like Miami.
I'll still take Miami over. I'll take Miami over. I wasn't
over Baltimore.
Without a doubt. I think that game against Philadelphia the other night. I know Philly played a good ball game, and Miami, just didn't do enough offensively to get there. But I think those two teams are more even. Again, I know we're talking AFC, NFC, but I think those two teams are more evenly matched. I didn't come away from that game thinking that Miami was like a peg or two below Philadelphia at all. I think those two teams are still fairly equal. If they were to play, on a neutral field or something, I think it would be pretty close, but I don't know.
Okay. I think a lot of these would be, I would take Baltimore though, because they actually play defense. And you know what? I think the Ravens could keep up pace offensively. They'd obviously have to quell them somehow, but every time I watch this Tyreek Hill, it's like he was great with the Chiefs, but This is what watching Gale Sayers must have been, because he's just faster than everybody. Yeah. He just flies. JT, seriously, I'm watching this guy. He is unstoppable. What is it? 8 times in the last 2 seasons at 150 plus yards. He's going to do it again 4 or 5 more times. He's unstoppable, JT. He is today's ultimate weapon. And I think that the problem is well, he's a piece of shit for beating women, but it astounds me because they just cannot guard him.
Belichick finds ways to stop him. So that it's when you talk about Harbaugh, it's like Harbaugh watching the tape to see what does he do. It's going to be easier. It's going to be easier with Devon Achane back or out. But once he gets back, then you've got 2 guys who are just faster than everybody else on the field. That guy is, I mean, watching him play, he's a rookie, but my goodness, as long as that guy stays, and of course he's injured right now, but as long as he can stay relatively healthy, you get him and Hill in the playoffs, it's going to be a tough offense to stop.
Oh, Eric's a big fan of the Ravens.
Yeah, I'll say this, that game, guys, again, I just call, like I said, I think of it from a betting standpoint too. I know this is a DFS show, but that pasting they put on Detroit, who I still think Detroit's a solid team, and they came out right from the go and jumped on them. So very, very impressive win over a really good Detroit team. So definitely their biggest win of the year, in my opinion, for sure.
All right. What up, Trevor Bryan? Good to see you, man. Since we're not going to talk about the Golden Bachelor, anything else on your plate before we move into some other things to discuss?
What are we not talking about?
The Golden Bachelor.
I mean, if you want to talk about the Golden Bachelor, you can. Are you?
No, I wanted one of you to be like, yeah, I want to talk about the Golden Bachelor, but then if that's not the case,
I might have to take my break early this week if we talk about that.
Yeah. What's your break?
I didn't know.
I usually do that when you bring up a topic that I don't like.
Uncle T, how many times a day do you think you pee?
A day?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like once an hour?
Hell no.
Then why do you have to get up in the middle of the show?
JT, tell him it's a shtick right now. Like I do it as part of the show. He never picks up on the little things that we try to filter in the show that are part of the show. He always thinks we're serious when we bring up something. He hasn't for 4 years he's been with us and he still can't figure it out.
Holden's very literal. I was interested in
little or literal.
Literal. I was interested in understanding if Holden was interested in trying to be the next Golden Bachelor. Yeah, like if you're tired of, what's your girlfriend's name? Bambi. I mean,
Cassandra.
Tired of her. What's
Cassandra?
Actually, I wish I would have dated a Bambi. That'd been hot.
Yeah, there you go. So no, I mean, I'll listen to the Golden Bachelor.
It's all right. It's just it's a 72-year-old guy, and there's like these 10 old ladies.
Yeah,
and they're just trying to fuck them, basically.
Right.
It gives you a hope. It's like 20 years from now, we'll still just be hammering it out. If we're alive and we can move a little bit, because all of these people, all they want to do is have sex with each other. And I think it's cooler than the regular Bachelor, because the regular Bachelor is just all a bunch of really good looking people. These are just old people that haven't been laid in a long time. So
you can relate then. You relate really well. Now I figured it out. Now I see why you relate. You relate good. Now it's coming together.
That was a good joke. That was good. Not the other bullshit you've been peddling. That was good.
More to the Golden Bachelor. All right, that makes sense.
I mean, I would watch it if I were you. Like if you've got nothing. All right, it's 2 a.m. You can't do it. You're done looking at DFS and TV. Hey, let's go watch the Golden Bachelor.
The TV show stuff is a bad topic with me. We got to talk about it. Bring something else up.
Well, because you don't watch TV.
I don't watch TV. I watch sports on TV. I don't watch anything.
Though. That's like you brag about it. Like it's so. I don't watch.
I'm not
TV.
bragging about it. I'm just saying I don't want to talk about it.
Right. You don't watch TV. Things that Uncle T does. What?
I pick winners. What do you mean? I pick winners.
Okay. Besides for your whole picking winner enterprise. What?
Can we talk about you going to the pumpkin patch with your lady and your kids?
It's not Halloween yet.
My son did not join us, but it was, I got to tell you.
This is the Halloween edition, JT. We won't have another show before Halloween.
How much are we going to talk about the pumpkin patch?
Hold on, when's Halloween? We'll
I
be
don't
doing
want to
a
talk
show
about it
next
all because you
Halloween.
won't hear me talking about it, but I know he'll have a whole spiel about what he did, and he probably took a blanket and he sat around the pumpkins and held hands and shit.
We are going to be broadcasting live on Halloween, though.
Next Tuesday we are?
Yeah, it's a Tuesday.
Am I allowed to wear my orange, JT?
Yeah, no, it's encouraged. I don't know why you changed the color scheme this week.
I mean,
outfits for you guys.
They said I wasn't wearing enough. Oh God!
You think about
I wasn't wearing enough RPS stuff.
There you go.
You laugh at this right now, but just wait. In about 3 years, this is
It actually looks good, Holden.
You've seen those gigantic, stupid hats that they put on that are like 20 times as big as their head, right?
Yeah,
big heads. I'm telling you, I'm gonna make the Dr. Seuss hat fashionable. Kids are gonna be lining up to buy these things like hotcakes.
I'm actually on your side there, Holden. That looks really good.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, you've been on my side a lot, Uncle T. You always said
that looks nice. Though.
You know what's happened? This is what I've noticed about this show and then doing shows with Tony, the Niehaus family. Always shifting allegiances in the middle of shows. So, like, I'm excited. NBA's back. I get to do a show with my boys with JSU and Tony, and we always have this great time. We got great chemistry. It's a wonderful show. But it's like, all right, so it's JSU will say something mean to me, and Tony will be like, no, you're wrong, JSU. And then I'll say something to Tony, and then JSU, no, I'm on your team. And that's exactly what you do. You say something, then something, and then it's 2-on-1. You're always trying to gang up and find the next advantage.
I like Trevor Bryan's comment. How can I put that up on the screen?
Okay, so move your mouse over it.
No, you can do it. You're the host.
Why'd you do that, JT?
Yeah, that's
because otherwise we'll be here until midnight.
I mean,
trying to explain to Boomer how to use his mouse.
You really didn't know how to click.
See how quick
you didn't know how to click a message on the thing?
Just immediately. Holden, this is where you take up for me again.
No, I'm not taking. This is unacceptable, and we need to do a tutorial right now. Here's what you need to do. Do you know what the mouse is? Do you know the little arrow that's on your computer? Move it all the way over to the comment. Okay, move it over to the comment. Click on the comment.
Yep.
What do you mean, yep?
I just clicked on it.
Oh, are you not an administrator?
Well, now you're going to hurt his feelings.
Oh boy.
I'm pretty far down the food chain. I'm even below JT. I mean, I'm way down here.
Oh boy.
I thought JT was in the basement. I'm further down than JT.
Well, if you watch the intro, we're all in the basement.
Well, that's where we can unite, to be honest with you. I think all three of us need to put a questionnaire into the inbox of Mr. One Wiley and see. It might not go anywhere. We all three may be out of a job next week, but at least we'll be able to get our point across.
It's an injustice, and again, lawsuit incoming. It's just sad.
Disrespectful to the old people. I think they're actually targeting to brand our RPS with our young people, and I think it's hurtful to the old guys.
Yeah, I agree. You know what? That's a great point. We should be targeting 60-year-old men more.
Yeah. If you're watching this show right now, all 19 of you, because see, that's the difference. Last week we only had baseball; there was no NBA, but all 19 of you. Go ahead and tell us how old you are.
Yeah, but at the end of the thing, we'll have hundreds of maybe 1,000 people watching. So you're just saying 19. Like, nobody knows this is live except the people that accidentally show
we just started doing this live. It's a great idea, by the way. I like doing it live.
40 last week. Holden.
Whose idea was it?
I didn't like going live last week because I wasn't here when you donkeys were talking bad about me.
We didn't say anything bad about you.
Oh, it was pretty bad. I went back and listened, then I turned it off because I got mad.
Oh, you stop it. I don't even remember saying anything about it.
Did
we even mention he wasn't there? I don't even know if I didn't know he was there, JT.
Trevor Bryan's 41.
Yeah.
There you go. Perfect. That's a great age. So, I mean, that's like.
So Trevor's probably still running around trying to get him a little action. I'm sure. Like Holden, you know how you said you've been in a little bit of a bad run and you kind of wish you were doing it again in 10 years. Trevor's probably still in he's in his prime still.
Hold on. A bad run at what?
I thought you said you've been on a bad run. You'd be happy to be able to still get it in 10 years. Didn't you say that?
He did.
Don't make me pull the tape.
I mean, you can pull the tape, but that doesn't sound like something I would say.
So you and Cassandra have been getting after it?
at least 3 times a week. And that's not bad for old people.
I'll tell you what, if you're not bullshitting, not in too bad for a 56-year-old. I mean, I'd take it at 56 when I get there. 3 times.
Well,
that's not bad.
Like, we haven't been married like you, so we actually have sex more than once every.
No, I mean three times a week at your age isn't bad at all.
Yeah,
I'm on your side again.
But like in 10 years, am I going to be doing that 3 times? No, absolutely.
Yeah, see, Trevor's a good dad. He runs around to soccer practice. Yeah, I like Trevor. Trevor knows what he's talking about.
I'm just putting this up for the screen name.
Window cleaning services.
Roth Window Cleaning Services. That's a great screen name. I
kind of want to buy his product. He's advocating for snorting Adderall. I mean,
right, there you go. You got to crush it up first.
What do you think that the window cleaning services does, though? Because I bet you it sounds like a front to me. It sounds like a front.
They could be doing something else. No
money
question.
laundering.
I think it's a shell company.
Yeah, they're money laundering. Probably for his Adderall distribution.
His Adderall, yeah. Maybe that's the next thing. He's going to be in our DMs saying, "Hey, do you need some Adderall? Because I can help you get it."
Matty Ice in the chat. What up, Matty?
Hey, now hold on. Is that coordinator Matty Ice or subscriber Matty Ice?
I just go with it every time and thinking I'll at least be 50% of the time right.
And they've explained it to me. I don't know which one it is.
I'm pretty sure 704 is the real Matty coordinator, but he's another good guy who's always in our Discord.
Matty the coordinator and Matty Ice. Yeah, they're both good guys. I love it. And it's a niche business.
Learned it in Jersey. Well, there you go. Now you have your answer. It's clearly an illegal front.
How does one get into the window cleaning business, by the way?
I mean, I don't know. It depends on what kind of windows you're cleaning.
Yeah, like that's the whole thing. Like, how does one get into?
That's got to be a brutal job.
Yeah.
I mean, you need cranes, you need lots of things.
Mattress stores got to be fronts for money laundering. Richard, I'll tell you.
Mattresses in the stores anymore, right? Starts with Windex.
I think Holden could pull it off, being a window cleaner.
Absolutely, that's one of the things he would do.
He could wear his hat he just had on a minute ago, and he could go out.
You need a reason to publicly flaunt Windex.
Yeah, unless you're making your own cocktail, which you could make your own cocktail that's cheaper than Windex, because you don't want to use Windex. Windex is expensive if you're cleaning a lot of windows.
Tonight's show is sponsored by Windex.
There was so the barber shop I lived in Boston on and off for a couple of years, and it was the Italian neighborhood. It's in a place called the North End, and 100% my barber shop was a front, because you'd have guys like in silk suits walking in the back. Sometimes you'd hear screaming and like bloody wrenches would come out. Absolute front for something else.
Look,
absolutely.
You can have one business location that does a lot of different types of business, and that's probably what was happening there.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. I've never done that.
It's all right.
I've never done any kind of side business. I'm on the up and up.
This is what you're doing right now is a side business.
It's the exact definition of what you're doing. A side business. Yeah. Oh, Uncle T. We have reached the point in the show where we can talk some football now.
We had to have another topic or two. What else? I missed last week. We can go as long as we want tonight.
You come up with a topic.
We are live.
We're ready to move on. You want to talk something about it? You tell me. What do you want to talk about, Uncle T?
Yeah, what is that? Yeah, put that comment up. Yes, sir. I'm here. I think it's a guy. If not, appreciate you being here. Yeah.
If you want another topic, bring one.
I mean, I already brought up the pumpkin patch. JT scoffed at it, even though it's Halloween time.
Not a great pumpkin patch.
We already talked about the pumpkin patch.
It wasn't great.
Can we talk about Winnie the Pooh?
We did.
He's back there.
Yeah,
he's back there.
Oh, yeah. We talked about how much Uncle T needs to pee. And ultimately, that was about to go into, do you really pee in the shower? But I didn't even want to go
I don't think you should have asked me. That was a pretty unprofessional question, to be honest. Ask another co-worker.
I feel like you have.
Feel like you're kind of hitting on me a little bit.
You don't have prostate issues?
No. You've already hit the prostate issues? I haven't.
No. You just look like a guy that would have prostate issues.
What does that mean? What does that mean? That might be one of the dumbest comments you've ever had.
It doesn't mean anything.
We'll I'd say we'll edit that out, but we're live tonight.
Listen, Holden is a medical school dropout, but while he was there, they taught him about diagnosis.
How do I put him in timeout? Can I put him in timeout?
You can mute him. Well, you can't mute him because you're not an administrator, but I can mute him.
You're up to 24 live viewers, by the way.
Yeah, and we appreciate all of them.
I mean, if we want to start doing this, if we really want to start doing
this. You should put me on top, by the way. I should be on top.
This is such
now removing myself.
Well,
I got to get your access. Yeah, I'm going to talk about getting your access taken away if you're going to do this.
Who?
We just went from 25 viewers to 23.
No, we went from 24 to 26.
You know why?
Hold on. Let's take JT off again and see if we get any more views.
Well, the football portion of the broadcast is getting ready to come.
Can we start now? I mean,
yeah.
If you would like to bring a topic,
I want to be on top. I want to be right here.
I don't know how to do that.
Hold on. Let me see if I can figure it out. Oh, let's get both of those guys out of here. This is such an old person's. No, you just go automatically to the bottom, Uncle T.
Chances of you executing that were not very high.
What?
The chances of you getting that done were not very high. I didn't have very much confidence.
Hey, listen, first of all, you didn't even know how to do comments or post.
I don't have access to it. What do you mean?
Right? No. You had to ask me anyways. You didn't have access, but you didn't know
chat,
how to
ask the chat. Whose side are you on here? Did you think Holden would be able to execute that? There was no chance he would. That was like minus 10,000. He wasn't going to execute that.
Well, something switched.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, there we go. We just went from 24 to 27. We gained another viewer by changing our view here. Let's get into the slate. Come on, enough fucking
sure.
Done enough. As JT mentioned very early in the show, we got a 13 gamer, folks. 13 games, including. Let's see if there's any good games. People make a big deal out of the Rams and the Cowboys. Not really. Houston, Carolina, blah, blah, blah. Jacksonville. You know what? We didn't talk about Jacksonville being contenders either. And nobody wants to take them seriously. But, Lawrence is doing his thing. They got a running game now. Good offensive line. Defense is keeping them in games. And I really learned a lot about them last year in that loss to, first of all, they had the huge comeback. Who did they beat? They came back from like freaking 40 points down. Was it the Chargers? It was the Chargers. It was Staley, and he should have been shit canned there. Defensively, they're very good. But the thing that is fascinating, once they held with the Chiefs last year, and then they did it in the playoffs, and then this year they play. I said to myself, even with that slow start, they still got a lot of good young talent. They might make the playoffs. Now I'm almost like, this is a playoff team, man. This not only is this a playoff team, this is a good playoff team. But not to go down there. Rick Jones, what's up? We love it live, and we're glad you're here. Harrio, Lamar Jacks, yes. Quarterback. Uncle T, since you were gone last week, I'm just going to come right to you. Is Patrick Mahomes back? Is this offense back? And even if he's not, he still has Denver. The amazing thing about this week is the top 3 price quarterbacks are in the most amazing situations. Mahomes at Denver, Hurts at Washington, and Lamar Jackson at Arizona. Will you consider Lamar Jackson again, Uncle T? And who's the pool?
Yeah, just obviously first glance, these top 3 guys do look like they're in pretty good spots here. Now, Mahomes just played. Didn't this game just played, right? 2-3 weeks ago? Let me see.
Yeah, they were playing twice in 3 weeks.
So did the Commanders and the Eagles, and what was a great
19-8. A couple. That was a Thursday night. Okay, it's starting to come back to me now. 19-8 in that game. He put up 21 points. He crushed last week against the Chargers, and that was really in the first half. Not a whole lot going on in the second half of that game last week. But, yeah, I haven't been on Mahomes much all year. 8,400, his highest price tag of the year. One into Denver. I mean, he's fine. I'd probably rather use Hurts in a game against Washington. I think Washington could be one of them teams that just totally goes in the tank. They had a poor performance last week in New York. They're all talking about our boy Riverboat Ron Rivera, who would qualify, by the way, as being an old guy. If he does lose his job, do you think we can get him on the old guys pod? Because I think he would fit in beautifully with those 3 because he's real close. He's losing the team a little bit. Players are getting frustrated, but I like Hurts probably a little bit more in that matchup in Washington, and I don't mind at all going right back to Lamar Jackson here, to be honest. But he might be my favorite out of the three, Holden. In Arizona, we saw what Burrow did a couple weeks ago in that matchup out there in Arizona. So I actually like Jackson a little bit more than the other two. I'd probably put Mahomes third on that list just because divisional game, again, that might play a little bit slower, similar to what it did a couple weeks ago. Going down a little bit, I don't necessarily like him this week, but you talked about Jacksonville. That game, I talked about it 2 weeks ago when I was last on. That game against Houston that they got upset at home and then they went on the road, to London. Mm-hmm. That really did feel like they kind of got it together over there. Now they've won 3 in a row. And I'll be honest, I still have a lot of confidence in this Jacksonville team, to be honest, overall. So look for them to kind of continue to win. I do like them. But going down a little bit, I'll mention 2 other guys so JT doesn't yell at me for taking all the picks. But C.J. Stroud, 6,300 in a matchup against Carolina. I don't mind Stroud. And I don't know if Tank Dell's going to be – is he back this week, Holden? But
he's supposed to be, yes.
Yeah, I mean, he's got some weapons. I know we've talked about it a little bit with different coordinators at RPS over the last couple of weeks. This is getting to be kind of a fun time. I'm kind of warming up to this Houston team a little bit. Obviously, they're not going to go anywhere this year, but they're stockpiling a little bit of young talent. They're kind of fun to watch. So I don't mind that. And then in that matchup, if you don't want to go to the hurt side, I know this is ugly and you guys are going to laugh. Sam Howell, he was bad last week, but he's going to be in a pretty good game script probably playing from behind against Philadelphia. And they have been prone to giving up some points. So I don't mind Sam Howell if you needed to go down lower, again, on a Tuesday night, 5,200 in a pretty good game script there against Philadelphia.
Ron Rivera would not really.
Riverboat Ron.
Yeah, he didn't commit to Sam Howell this week. I still think he's going to start, but I think that the Sam Howell train is definitely slowing down. What are you seeing here at quarterback, JT? We talked about the guys up top. Is there anybody down low that we might want to go to?
I got to address a couple of things. First of all, Ron Rivera is one of the most boring human beings on the planet. He would not fit in well here, just judging by the coaching style. Lamar Jackson is my favorite of those 3 up top. Jalen Hurts has an injury issue, which I think in a matchup against the Commanders, they're not going to have to push him. So that could be a sneaky spot for DeAndre Swift this Sunday, especially with Sam Howell. I mean, it's a good call based on quarterback points against Philadelphia's defense. The challenge is I don't know how the Commanders keep him upright against this defensive front for the Eagles. I've got C.J. Stroud on my list as well, 6,300 against Carolina, non-divisional game. Weather's supposed to be beautiful most places, 70 degrees, 75 degrees in Carolina. So I think that's a good spot. And then 2 guys, it's a price play, but it's also it's the highest total for non-divisional matchups, and it's Cincinnati and San Francisco. So Burrow is just $6K flat in what is, again, if Cincinnati's offensive line can give him a little bit of time to throw, a pretty good matchup, a decent matchup for them potentially. And then Brock Purdy in a bounce back spot here, 5,600. So those are the 4 guys that I have now early in the week.
JT, before we go on, where you mentioned Burrow in that matchup against San Francisco, I actually like the Niners this week, especially coming off back-to-back losses. But were you a little – I mean, this isn't breaking news either. I was shocked at them letting Cousins put up almost 400 yards, right, through the air. It just shocked me. The coverage that they were playing, they never really changed, which – It again, just watching it live, it felt like, are they going to make some? Are they, they never did anything different, right? And it just felt like they picked them apart. I'm probably not going to go back to Burrow. I kind of like the Niners in this matchup, to be honest with you. The Bengals coming off a bye does scare me a little bit. They're a little bit fresh, obviously, extra week to prepare, but I kind of like the Niners in this matchup.
So, yeah, go for it, JT.
Yeah, no, I think the total here is indicative of what. At least the market expects a 5.5 point favorite San Francisco. I think that San Francisco wins coming off of those 2 performances. I mean, you lose to the Browns, you lose to the Vikings, who've been terrible. But I also, as you guys know, I think I've talked about, I'm not a huge fan of Shanahan. And I think that he can be stagnant and stubborn. And I think this is an opportunity here for us to see, again, a non-divisional higher scoring game. Similar to, some of these other games we've seen where it's non-divisional teams against each other. I think the Bengals put up some points, and I'd be willing to take a shot based on the pricing there.
The Niners fans are done with Steve Wilkes, their defensive coordinator. Pressure rate, 2021, 8th in the league. 2022, 9th in the league. 2023, 25th in the league. They're not getting pressure on the quarterback, guys.
Wilkes has been terrible everywhere. He's terrible in Carolina, terrible as the interim head coach. You guys were talking about this. Why does Staley have a job? Why does Rivera have it? This is an insular industry, right?
Yeah.
And these guys just keep hiring their buddies, and sometimes it doesn't work out. And this is one where I'm
not sure what that word was that you just mentioned, but I like it.
Insular, which means it's not really open to outsiders.
I'm going to use that tomorrow. I like that, insular.
There you go.
I like that. And Eric is asking if Kyler Murray's playing. I think
not
he was
this
eligible
week,
maybe week 10, maybe, I think.
I shouldn't say not this week. I don't think he's playing this week, but he could. That would be a little bit early. I think definitely next week.
Speaking of pressure, how's your prostate, Uncle T?
I'm good right now. I'm good. Yeah. I usually go about, I go anywhere from 3 to 27 times a day, somewhere in between.
27.
There you go.
You, Holden? Since
Running back, CMC, 9,200, and then there's everybody else. Barkley, 8K, Mostert, 7.7. Mostert, a little disappointing, to be perfectly honest with you. My sense is that we're not going to see the type of defensive effort out of the Patriots that we did out of the Eagles, but Bill Belichick has something here. Derrick Henry, possibly on the trading block. He's still 7,600. That's interesting. This is my first glance, by the way. Pacheco's Pacheco. Can we talk about Pacheco for a second? So he's got the nut matchup this week. He's a good talent. He runs really hard. He's catching passes now. He's a decent blocker. But I'm waiting for the 30-point game out of Pacheco. I always feel like I get 18 points out of him in a really good week, right? Is his upside capped because they're going to throw for at least 2 touchdowns a game?
My opinion, there's too many weapons on this team. They're not. You need an injury somewhere. You need an injury in the backfield. You need an injury, and people are trying to make Rashee Rice a thing in season long. So let's this is a DFS show, but some people watch this and look at season long. In season long, of course, I would have Isaiah Pacheco. Of course, I would feel comfortable with Rashee Rice. In DFS, where you need the absolute outlier ceiling game of the people at that position to win a tournament, you can look at the Chiefs total every week. You can look at their matchup every week. You can look at their offensive line and say, man, Isaiah Pacheco's in a great spot. Rashee Rice is in a great spot. The reality is it's Mahomes and it's Kelsey. And you need something to go a little bit haywire here, especially at these prices now for Pacheco, for him to be somewhere near the winning lineup in a big GPP. So it's not that he's a bad player. It's not that he's not fine. It's just that in cash, sure, maybe play him in cash.
He hung 28 points on the Jets, and really everything else has just been in the teens, mid-teens.
But that was, again, that's a Monday night game.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Sunday, Monday night game. Kelsey had a decent game. Mahomes had an okay game. They were ahead in that game, right? So maybe when you look at the spread and Denver and how bad Denver has been, could this be a spot for him? Maybe. Is it more likely on a 13-game slate that the spot is somewhere else? It's also likely that too. The one good thing I would say is he is a clear running back one, which you don't have a lot of in the NFL right now.
Uncle T, why don't you take running back here?
Yeah, list a few guys
while you do that.
Yeah, get that prostate cleaned out there. Oh, now they're both going to leave. Perfect. Now I can talk.
I was
now
just
we can
fucking
get
with
to
you. I was just messing with you.
Oh man, that's what I wanted. Then we could add viewers if it was just me. So no, running back Holden for me this week up top. I mean, CMC 9,200 against Cincinnati. I'm not really in love with that, to be honest with you. Saquon Barkley 8K against the Jets. The Jets surprisingly haven't been great against the run this year, so don't necessarily mind that. Alvin Kamara. We talked about it a few weeks ago, how he got all them targets, and then obviously the next week he got like 3. You know, obviously he's going to get enough carries, but then he come back last week and got another shit ton of targets as well. So 7,300 in a nice game environment indoors against Indy. I don't mind Kamara. And then I've got guarded optimism holding on ETN, and I'll tell you why. He's crushed the last 3 weeks, and he's been really good during this, team winning streak of the Jacksonville Jaguars. But if you look at it, he's had to get into the end zone to really kind of push it over the top. He only had 53 yards rushing last week, 55 the week before, but he's had 2 touchdowns on the ground each of the last 3 wins. So, if he can keep up, getting in the end zone, right? I definitely don't mind ETN here in this matchup. I actually we got to keep an eye on, obviously, Tuesday here. I think there could be potentially some weather in that game, to be honest with you. They're forecasting a bunch of rain, but
we got a wintry mix here, Uncle T. We have a wintry mix in Denver.
Yeah. I like this game environment if the weather holds. The Jacksonville-Pittsburgh game, I really like it. We'll talk a little bit about some plays on the wide receiver end, but I like ETN. And the other guy I'll mention at 5,900, I mentioned Barkley in that game in New York. I don't mind Breece Hall at 5,900 either in that same game. 5,900 feels like a fairly solid price tag there. So I really like Breece Hall, but ETN, Kamara, those are all solid plays.
Yeah, Breece Hall cash 5,900. That's probably one of the plays we'll talk about on the cash show on Friday. JT, I do want to give a little bit of news. So it's officially a split backfield, even when Miles Sanders is healthy in Carolina. Now this team's horrible. They play from behind a lot, but Chuba Hubbard's 4,800 and Miles Sanders 4,900. And when you hear that, they're both really cheap. I would take the stab on Hubbard if I was to play one of the two this week. If I want to get a little crazy, it's a good matchup. They're going to have to stay close. They might, but the Carolina backfield, just know that you're getting a lot. You're getting a big mess. Darrell Henderson Jr. was pretty good last week. I mean, what was he? Min price at 13.6. But again, you got Royce Freeman back there. I don't know what to do with that backfield. So we got a couple muddied backfields right now, JT. And I don't know if I'm staying away from Chuba Hubbard, but the LA situation is just odd. It's all matchup dependent, right? You just have to hope Royce Freeman doesn't end up getting more carries than Henderson. It's a weird situation in LA.
Against Dallas, I'm probably not going to touch that.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got you do have a potential split there, although it looks like Henderson is the number one guy. But I don't generally target the Cowboys with running backs anyway. So I'm probably not looking there. I like Alvin Kamara in this matchup, a little bit priced up, but the targets out of the backfield, whatever's going on with Derek Carr, he's getting a ton of targets there. So I like him, 7,300. Breece Hall, 5,900. I mean, with that offensive line in that, low scoring, low total matchup, it's going to be decent weather. So I like Hall at 5,900. Ramondre Stevenson, everyone was down on Ramondre Stevenson, and all of a sudden he's back now. And yes, Ezekiel Elliott is getting some touches, but Ramondre is getting a bunch of targets out of the backfield, which in a trailing game script for the Patriots against the Dolphins, who we just talked about and said, hey, they give up a ton of points. They give up a ton of opportunities. Maybe Ramondre at 5,400 is cheap. You mentioned Henry. They featured Henry after everyone said, oh, it's Tyjae Spears backfield. Then they featured Henry. To your point, Holden, which is completely accurate, they move one of their best secondary players over to Philadelphia. Something else to keep in mind this weekend, right? They'll be a little bit stronger in Philadelphia in that secondary there. But 7,600 for Henry. The Falcons haven't been a great team to target with the run. But if they're going to let Henry run and catch and throw passes just to feature him, it's something to think about. And then totally not the FBI here. Actually, it wasn't him. It was Roth Window Cleaning Services, our guy again. Our guy, the money launderer. I don't think it's Algier who's sneaky. I think it's Bijan Robinson at 6K. Again, the Titans defense may be changing to not what we expect it to be. He's right. Zach Moss did torch Tennessee. A couple other guys on my list here, just because I wrote up a few more. Kenneth Walker at 7K. Don't love it against Cleveland, but the Colts running backs did fine against Cleveland. And then if we get clarity, I don't even want to mention this guy, so forget it. That's it for my running backs.
Well, JT, I'm going to come back at you for wide receiver then.
Okay.
We have, Tyreek's 95, Kupp is 9K. Interesting thing about Kupp is that Nakua, since Kupp has come back, has actually been targeted at a higher rate. So that's interesting. And I wonder if they're just covering Cooper Kupp and not realizing that this year's Cooper Kupp on the Rams is Nakua. He's been remarkable. I'm going to ask you about this guy, though. Not a great matchup, JT. CeeDee Lamb, finally coming off a game, had 7 catches on 7 targets. I don't know if I really feel comfortable playing this guy because you're not getting that consistent target share. 7 targets for him was a lot. And there's other guys in that price range. Nakua, 300 more. I don't know about Waddle, but Ayuk, I think, against Cincinnati. There's other guys I'd rather play at that price than CeeDee Lamb. What's going on with that guy?
I don't know what's going on with CD. Dak finally had a decent game here, right? But it was against the Chargers, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was against the Chargers. So, look, the Rams. George Pickens had a good game last week against the Rams. Deontay Johnson had a decent game last week against the Rams. The Rams are on the road. The challenge with CeeDee Lamb is whether or not we've seen Mike McCarthy do this, right? When they get ahead, Dallas slows the game down. They didn't do it against the Jets, but I think, they've been doing that a little bit more recently. So, and for me, the mid-range between 5 and 6.5K seems loaded this week. Uncle T mentioned the weather in Pittsburgh, but let's say the weather doesn't look like it's going to have too big of an impact. Calvin Ridley is now 5,800. Everyone's talking about, the targets haven't been there. Okay, fine. This is a week-to-week thing. The Steelers have been giving up immense points to opposing wide receivers, second most on the slate. Jamar Chase is 8,100 in a game that we just saw.
Woo.
Jordan Addison go absolutely nuts. That's a game where I think points are going to be scored. I think it's a good bounce-back spot for Cooper Kupp. I think the Rams are going to have to throw. We've seen wide receiver ones do pretty well against this team when the opposing team has been behind. So I think that's fine. Nico Collins is pairing with CJ Stroud. Nico is 5,500. And then I'll just mention one more because I want to leave a bunch for Uncle T. Drake London, 5,100 against the Titans. So we always like to target with opposing wide receiver ones. I hope I left some for you, Uncle T. I'm sorry. It looked like I took
the last 4 guys you mentioned were on my list. No big deal.
You might as well throw Kendrick Bourne in there, Uncle T, at 4,700 against Miami and double-digit, performances these last 2 weeks has been terrific. So, you want some Kendrick Bourne? That's more of a cash play, isn't it? And yes, Matty Ice, I love Zay Jones. I've been waiting to come home.
Yeah, if we start back up at the top, like Tyreek and Kupp at 95 and 9 flat, you guys can blame me for Kupp last week. I don't normally play Cooper Kupp. I had like 80% of him, and I don't know. It's more of I never get this guy right. Well, I don't play him much, so obviously he's going to crush more often than not. And I know this week when I'm back off of him, he's going to get it done. But I'd rather probably go down.
Hang on a second. Hang on.
I'd rather probably go down to 8,100. He's been disrespectful tonight, isn't he, Holden?
Hey, real quick,
8,100.
Uncle T. Every time I play Patrick Mahomes, I just can't get him right. Every time I used to play Randy Moss in his prime, I just couldn't seem to get him right. It's tough. It is tough getting Cooper Kupp right, Uncle T.
You guys are killing me. I sat and talked. I listened quietly while JT mentioned 13 receivers on his list, and then I get to my list, and you guys are going to do this.
I did 5. And then I stopped.
13 easily.
You said you couldn't get Cooper Kupp right. I mean, that's.
But I haven't played him, though, is what I'm saying.
Know.
I haven't
Uncle
been.
T,
When I play him, I can't get him right.
I actually may have said 4. Hold on. Now I have a bone to pick. Holden asked me.
Your segment's over. Too bad. I like Jamar Chase, 8,100 against San Francisco.
Hold on.
I'm going to
I can do that. You can't.
I'm fading the top 2 guys.
Yeah. So basically, what happened was.
Yeah, I can just unmute myself right back, you donkey. Let's go to tight ends.
Uncle T,
let's go to tight ends. Live show, and you guys are disrespectful. I tell you.
You know what, Uncle T? I'm coming right back at you. You going with Kelsey in the nut matchup this week against Denver?
No, I'm going with Jamar Chase at 8,100 in San Francisco, and then for the first time all year, we've got Christian Kirk at 5,900 and Calvin Ridley
on the wide receivers
at 5,800, and I like Calvin Ridley here over Kirk.
There you go.
And then I like in that same game environment George Pickens, and then possibly even Deontay Johnson at 5K. And I like me some Drake London that JT mentioned. And I also like little Terry McLaurin, who played pretty well in that last matchup against Philadelphia.
Kevin Gallagher wants to know if Old Man Thielen's in there for the old guys.
Man, he's getting way too high. Way too high. What is he? 6,800? What is he?
I don't know. When he gives you 27 every week, I mean
6,600. Yeah, I mean, think about it. He was what, 3,600 like in week 2, something like that.
Yeah, but he's hit 30 or more points in 3 or 4 games.
I will say this: if you like Stroud, then I don't know. I'd probably rather grab a cheaper piece from on the run back, depending on what you use and what your build is. But yeah, I don't mind it, but I'd probably rather look for one of them cheap pieces on the run back.
You know what, Kevin Gallagher? This one is for you. I know you're laughing. I'm going to play. This is my spite play of the week. Is going to be Adam Thielen, because when he hangs 30 up on everybody at 6'6", then we can come back and be like, hey. Look what happened. And if he doesn't, it doesn't matter because I won't remember anyway.
I thought you were going to offer Kevin Gallagher an RPS hat that you don't have the authority to ask. The other day you were giving out hats on the air, and you don't even have access to any of the hats. How are you giving out hats?
You okay, buddy? You all right, Uncle T?
No, I'm just saying you're giving away hats and you don't even have them.
Oh, are you tired? You need some sleep.
No, I'm not tired. I'm good.
Okay.
We're going to talk about tight ends first.
I would love to hear your thoughts on tight ends, Uncle T.
JT has been very hurtful to Uncle T tonight. After a week off, I thought for sure he'd be nice to me tonight. No,
I mentioned, but you're making things up. I mean, maybe you're having some.
That's okay. It's part of the show.
Hallucinations.
Holden makes stuff up.
Hold on! I totally forgot about our anniversary. I'm sorry.
Okay.
We're close to the end of the show.
Okay.
If Uncle T and I don't get in a fight, this will be the longest of all 4 seasons that it took for us to get into a fight, Uncle T. For you to be upset, for you to go and not be happy with me because of something I said. This last year, or actually the first year, it happened in week 6. It had gotten sooner, but we're now in week 8, and you have not gotten upset. So I just want to say this is a big moment.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I still don't like you very much, but I have no idea. I still have no idea what you're talking about.
You missed the show. Does it count?
What up, Don Yeezy?
What's going on?
My boy Don Yeezy.
I love Don Yeezy. He's one of the OGs. He should be in the Open too. We should be in the Open.
How old are you, Yeezy? How old are you? You'd qualify probably, right? You've been in the you listen to everything.
I think Don Yeezy has seen some shit. And
I'm going to say 47.
37.
47.
You think 47. JT, how old is Mardon Yeezy?
40. Damn, my bad, Yeezy.
Everybody, that's the play.
Like you're a little older.
40 or 41 tonight. No one. Yeah. I don't know if we can trust these people.
There's no youngsters watching. Yeah, they up their age just so they can fit in.
You know what? Actually, no. It makes sense that this would appeal to them Because if you were younger, I would question whether or not you're of the right frame of mind. Yeah.
I mean, JT, the dude asked me how many times I pee during the day. That was enough as it is to know.
Well, you always leave during the show, and I feel like you probably had a prostate problem. Now, you told me that you don't, and I believe you.
But again, it was part of the show shtick, though. When you come up with a bad topic and I don't feel like talking about it, I just take my bathroom break. You actually think I'm taking a bathroom break.
Well, no, you usually say, I'm getting up for a break because I don't want to talk about this. That's usually
correct. And you have a lot of bad topics. So I try to smooth through that, and I give JT full coverage and let him talk about whatever bad topic you bring up. And then that covers me.
I'm going to go pre-JT on this show, okay? We're going, including the first 2 years. Uncle T, you have brought 0 topics to the table.
I didn't know that was required. I thought as the host, I've been told that you are supposed to bring the topics.
Well, you two are a part of the show. JT brings topics a lot. He'll usually throw one in. He didn't tonight, but usually he'll throw one in.
Remember a minute ago when you said we haven't gotten into an argument yet? You're kind of leaning that way.
That's right. By the way, I think I only missed season 1. I only missed season 1 of this show, right?
What?
Well, I missed season 1. I started season 2 with you.
You were here.
Holden doesn't remember that.
Yeah, I think so.
No,
who was with us? Oh, we had G Rising.
We did. Oh, year 1, G Rising.
I had G Rising season 2 too.
And then right after I do this show, I do a show at Rubio Dimes, and at the time title. Neither one of those guys had any reference past 2004.
Hey, since I don't have access, put Eric's comment up on the screen. Yeah, I agree, Eric. We should just get along. 4 years I've been dealing with these two, and all I get is grief.
We've only been dealing with JT for 3.
That's right.
Right. Well, you didn't know that until a second ago.
That is absolutely correct, because he was obviously there for a season that I don't remember. But that's on me. That's actually on me. Okay, tight end, because this show has got.
Talk about tight end.
Who are you playing?
I gotta watch the rest of
take a second bathroom break from the last
going on right now.
Go ahead, JT.
Yeah.
Let's get out of here.
Very excited.
Yeah. Kelsey, obviously, I'm not going to talk much about him. If you want to play him any week, obviously you can. I like George Kittle this week. I like San Francisco in this matchup against the Bengals. Coming off a couple losses, the Bengals generally don't do as well against the tight end position. I kind of like Kittle here in this matchup. Probably my favorite tight end, at least on this early look on Tuesday. Goddard, 4,600 in the nice matchup in Washington. And I'm going to go down, if you have to go real cheap, Trey McBride, 2,800 against Baltimore. I think if they can kind of keep that close a little bit, I think that could have, what's that total? 44 and a half. I kind of like that for some sneaky shootout potential if Arizona can keep up. I think Baltimore should win that handily, but if they can keep up, it could be a good DFS spot.
JT?
Mark Andrews, I agree. I like Kittle. I like Dalton Schultz at 3,900 against Carolina. And I like Darren Waller. It seems like maybe they're finally realizing they got to target this guy because their receivers aren't very good. And tight ends against the Jets have just smashed.
Well, this is our longest show of the year, and I'm ready to leave. So, Uncle T, JT, great to see you. Thanks, everybody, on the live show. We appreciate all of our viewers, and keep running pure.